Right.
There's really not much there.
I'm gonna.
That'd be a place tonight.
Do we hit? We have.
I think that's good. It was kind of around my eyes.
Yeah, and I can turn off that air conditioning because it might.
The air I'm worried about is
I know it just might impact the audio
For better?
for worse.
And they can't
It
hear
is really loud and sweet back here.
Huh?
just talk loud. How hard is that? Come on.
For some of us, it's not hard.
Jeez.
It depends what topic we're on, right, Lance?
Yeah. I still get razzed. They got a whole video at work.
Flip.
Yeah.
Interesting to see.
You're good. You're good. I don't want to sit in front of the camera.
Well, we're all actually the part I like about this is everyone
Hey,
is
Davis.
visible. So
Put Davis in the middle now.
yeah.
Last one in gets
We're
in the
not
middle.
there, are we?
Yes, we are now.
Last one in gets in the middle.
It's long.
And we brought you before this hearing today.
You can relax. Questions will start later.
I'll be ready.
Are you the prosecution, Bob?
I'll prosecute him. And you grew that beard, why?
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Good to be back.
All right, we'll start with attendance. Cam Hall.
Here.
Bob Hutchison. Here. Janet is absent. Amir Moses.
Here.
Chair Palmer.
Here.
Davis Bukowski.
Here.
Bob Reynolds.
Present.
Norma couldn't make it. And Wentz Valentin.
Here.
All right. We have a quorum. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can I please have a motion to open the Hamburg IDA Board of Directors meeting at 7:32 a.m.?
So move. Second.
Mayor, thank you, Wentz, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is open. First item is the motion questions regarding the minutes from the June 16th, 2021 Board of Directors meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve those.
Thank you, Cam.
Second.
Thank you, Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, next we have the financial report from June 30th, 2021.
Everybody has a copy in front of them with just some highlights out of there. So in June, we had a net income of $304,103.49. We had administrative fee came in at $315,000 and interest was $129,000. Our largest expense was our payroll and benefits, which was $10,650.18. So we ended the month for the Industrial Development Agency with a total liabilities and equities of $995,528.39. Is there any questions? I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Make a motion to accept the treasury report.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Here, welcome, Janet.
Hello.
Just starting with my report. Financial updates. As Bob just mentioned, we closed the Bayview Associates project that is moving along well. Carbon Activated Corporation, I have not heard back from the, they have like a project consultant, and you haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything. I've
Okay.
emailed your attorney in California several times.
Okay, yeah, it was approved last month, so I'll just follow up and see what's going on. 290 Lake Street, I've been talking with the developer. They're trying to work to get that project underway. That's a project in the village of Hamburg that has been extended. I think has received its second extension through the IDA. KH Industries is working on a reapplication. Their project scope has changed. So they'll be working with not only with the IDA, but also with the village on the change of scope of their project. Hallis Theater has its first draw out. So that's out. I think it was a payment of, we'll see it in the land corp, of roughly $85,000. Jumping over to the land corp matter, but so their construction is progressing, which is great. And we did complete a second quarter financial review. Largest variance is on the revenue side. The expense side is tracking fairly well year to date. And we forecast really little to no variance on the expenses going into the remainder of 2021. Project activity, likely projects that we will see before the IDA in the next couple months. Key Energy, we have a conference call later this morning. Thank you, Janet, to look to organize that project and see if it will move forward with an IDA application. 17 Long is a building reuse and renovation. They're looking to renovate some space, some raw space that hasn't been touched yet. And then KH Industries. It's carried on the agenda. We'll get to it later, but a monthly look ahead. I just wanted to talk a little bit later about the annual meeting. Regarding some other meetings, important meetings, we had a meeting with the president of 43 North regarding Pitch Hamburg. That was very positive. We look to link the programs together as they are similar but different. And if you flip to the first page, you'll see that the Pitch Hamburg logo is done and approved by the Pitch Hamburg board. So that's exciting. More progress for that organization. There is a new committee through the town regarding CARES funding and how that will be applied through the town. And I will be a part of that committee just to provide advice and guidance, at least from an economic development perspective, on how that money can be best utilized for the town and its residents. I did carry one thing with the South Towns Regional Chamber of Commerce. If anyone's on social media, or you can visit their website for different events. We try key events. You know, Mary and I generally distribute information to the board. You're welcome to attend any of those events. If you just contact us, we can arrange that. But in similar fashion to the Chamber of Commerce, if there's any events, especially now things are returning to normal more in person. If you'd like to attend that.
Yes, on that note, I had the opportunity to go to one of those events. I think it was about a month ago in June, and it was down at Woodlawn Beach. It was very nice. It was really good to see the work that the SRCC is doing. I think they are the largest by membership wise in Western New York now. So South Towns Regional Chamber of Commerce. It was a well-attended event, and I appreciated their time.
Yeah, I think there's just over 1,000 members in the organization, so it's rather strong, and the events are widely attended, and it just it's nice to be able to have those again. Hamburg Development Company, the Business Development Loan Fund, that's receiving a lot more activity and inquiries, which is great. Largely sat idle last year. That's the opportunity where we can provide low interest funding to businesses for job growth. The funding cannot compete with conventional financing, so we can either provide financing if they can't get bank financing, or we can provide a gap funding situation. So if your project is $750,000 and you have 100 of owner's equity and 600 of, I lost my math here. What did I say? 100 owner's equity, 600 conventional financing. We could potentially provide the additional $50,000 in owner financing or financing for the owner to accomplish the project. And there are job growth metrics associated with that. So that's received more activity. We have a board meeting next Friday where we look to present a loan to the board, which is a qualified one. And then there's a couple other projects. We had talked about, some more activity happening in Hamburg and more inquiries to the program, which is excellent. Okay, any other questions on the director's report?
Sean, are you gonna be attending the town's CARES Act presentation on Thursday? Where they're gonna discuss how they're going to utilize their $12 million in CARES Act? Because part of that can be utilized toward business development and to assist businesses. And I don't know if there's, maybe if we drafted a letter to the town board stating that anything that we could do to help them utilize those funds to affect local businesses.
So, yeah, I'm not.
And let's remember, the CARES Act rules keep changing, or not CARES Act, ARPA money. CARES, ARPA, it's all the same, it's all federal money.
Okay,
But, they're getting $12 million, $6 million this year, $6 million next year. And part of those monies can be utilized toward helping businesses.
okay,
And who are the people who help businesses? We are.
sure.
So we ought to be working hand in hand. I don't think that's something that the town board ought to be taking on when there's already an arm, per se, of the town
Mhm.
doing that. So maybe we could draft a letter, or letter, you know
And
what I
that's
mean?
this Thursday?
It's this Thursday.
Okay. Now, is this another program? Because like I was just mentioning, like, I was asked to be on a committee, but I don't know if that's for CARES.
Well, ARPA cares, I mean,
What's
it's
what's
all
ARPA is the acronym?
American Recovery Plan Act.
Okay,
So, I mean, the mayor would have just gotten their money on Monday. The village got their money on Monday. We got substantially less than the town of Hamburg. I mean, substantially less. They're getting $12 million. So I just think we ought to maybe put that in their head so they're not allocating all the
Right.
money otherwhere.
Okay.
Let's maybe try get a piece of that pie
okay.
to help our local businesses.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense.
I mean, it can be
Businesses have
used
suffered.
for broadband. It can be used for sewer and water. It can be, I mean, trust me, the list keeps evolving. That's why we're kind of sitting tight on our money until,
The final say, if there ever will be.
well, they'll never be, but until it suits our purpose, shall I say. But yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for the heads up. Yeah, I'll look to
Yeah.
attend it and,
Well, I mean,
it's a
even if
public
you
meeting,
can't make,
correct?
it's a public meeting and the town board is soliciting input, which
Okay,
kind of makes me happy but nervous because people don't understand that there are guidelines pertaining to this money. So, what if Susie's Dog Rescue comes in and says, well, I think Hamburg should use all 12 million, you know what I mean? Like, maybe you're giving people a false sense of involvement because you have to stay within the guidelines.
Mhm, mhm.
But there is money for business development, and if we can get a piece of that pie to assist local businesses, I think we ought to.
Okay, yeah, I'll look into that. And I'm familiar with the CARES Act requirements. I
Yeah,
would think it
well,
broadly applies
yeah,
to this.
well, there's gonna be two separate sets of rules
Okay,
for CARES and for ARPA.
Okay.
Both have,
Complicated?
Where did the
Listen.
school money come? That was through,
that was,
ARPA?
well, your first shot was through CARES and your second shot's through ARPA.
that's what I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
because we're talking
You're-
about how to spend.
So the money we already had, like we got ours, I think in December, was CARES. American Recovery Plan Act is since the new president has been seated.
Right, okay.
So
I don't know what else.
it's okay. It
You
doesn't
got it?
bother me if it doesn't bother you.
Okay, it's about- yeah, it's
It's literally right up your
It's giving me a
arse.
certain glow in the morning that I generally don't have. But just,
Did I make it worse? Oh,
it's all good, it's all good.
You can wear sunglasses.
No, it's all good.
But
just-
Well, thank you. No, I
Yeah.
appreciate
Good
that.
stuff,
That's
sir.
awesome.
So just to follow up, when do they have to have their guidelines for the first 6 million set in place?
Well, here's the thing. The feds are setting the guidelines.
Not, I mean,
And they're ever evolving based upon Congress and the Senate getting requests from special interests.
Okay.
So what happens is everybody's gonna get their first
There you go.
part of money now.
Right.
And then we're due to get the additional monies next year. All our money, and Mayor, if I'm wrong, all our monies have to be expended by 2025 or 2026? 2025? So you, even though you get the money this year, you can hang on to it until you, I mean, you can't do a water and sewer project without engineering, without design,
Right, I
without
understand
bid,
that, but I
without,
mean, I'm just thinking the money comes in this year and stuff like this, they can set priorities, but are those priorities locked in by the end of the year, they have to do them?
No,
Or
no,
are
no,
they
no.
can change it,
they have until 2025 to spend all the money.
so they can change the priorities, the government can change the priorities if they wanna go along,
Well, that's,
but depending on administration of what's.
yeah, you gotta kind of, I mean, like, we're gonna
I'm just-
sit,
Yeah, that's why I think it's
because-
important that we stay involved, that was kind of my
You know how
point.
government works?
Yeah, I know how it works a little bit, I've been there.
but
But I'm just saying, that's a good reason for our organization to be involved,
Exactly.
looking out for the business interests of the community and economic development. We should be a main player at that table.
So, so even if you can't get there, I just think maybe if we send a letter, we're interested, if there's money for business development, we'd like to be,
Should we, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but should we get some kind of, in new business, a letter approved by the board, just a general letter to the town council?
You could, I mean, I'm happy to attend the meeting and talk to it, you know, but, you know, and I've actually put together, you know, a number of projects, like, because I know some of the guidelines, so for instance, you know, a guideline broadband, like you had mentioned.
yeah,
like,
broadband is a way we can spend
broadband
money.
at some of the local libraries, at the village halls that, you know, that would expand into the, you know, the water park areas and the court areas that people could do it. Social distancing for businesses, so any businesses looking to expand their patios could potentially qualify. Generally, like the federal money, there's job associated with it. So for the grant, I think the last one that I saw was $85,000 granted, has to equal one full-time employee from a low to middle income demographic. So we already had audio-visual improvements to
Yeah,
municipal
to public
offices,
meetings.
so you can stream meetings, you know, that would be another idea. So yeah, I have, you know, maybe we could work together on a letter,
Yeah,
because I already have a list of items that I think would qualify and benefit. So we can do that, but I'd also like to attend.
Let me know what we need to do.
Okay. Unfinished business local labor waiver. So I looked in depth since our last meeting into the local labor waiver. The policy, as stated on the website, and approved by the board, is basically signed off by the project applicant. And that sign off essentially acknowledges that there is an understanding that there is a local labor policy, what the requirements are, the policy are, how to request a waiver. We had talked in the previous meeting about, and I just wanted to get some further clarification before I propose a draft to the board. I think it should be in the local labor policy. Would you like to put in that policy the question that anticipates, you know, do you anticipate needing to seek a local labor waiver on this specific project? Is that the question you would like to ask? Or do we remove the waiver component? You know, so if they sign that local labor policy, they're acknowledging that they're going to execute this project within the requirements as outlined in the policy with no waiver. So I think there's two paths that you could potentially carry to further enforce that policy. One would be to remove the waiver, which I think that could pose some issues altogether. Or if they can't agree to the 90%, the project doesn't fly through the IDA.
I think it's important putting it in the application, so right up front.
Well, they submit the waiver, the waiver with the application. It's essentially part of the application?
I think we're more transparent, that we're right out front with this, put it right out, you know, and if they anticipate that they have to, you know, go outside that, or use a waiver, they can come back to us and, you know, explain to us why they need that waiver. And then we can make our own decision from there. But I think it's important to bring it up front and not have it come at the back of the project. Let's get that at the front of the project.
And how do we do that besides just saying anticipate? Well, in this example, what we're all talking about is they didn't anticipate, according to them, having this. So they could legally say, yeah, we didn't anticipate it. So what can we do and structure this application to say, if there is any inkling of needing some kind of special labor outside of their labor policy and needing a waiver for that, how can we, for lack of better words, add teeth? Because they'll just kick it down the road. Oh, we didn't anticipate it.
Maybe not anticipate, maybe.
Required.
Will the project require a special
Job set.
set, a special skill set that the local labor market doesn't have? You know, something along that.
Yeah, I don't know how you, like Jennifer, you can, after my comment, if you can,
Well, would we
inkling
be
or.
say we're discriminating against a company?
That would be a concern, and I'm trying to formulate language in my head of how to drill down on it, and I don't know how you could ever ask them enough questions.
Well, my other thought would be, this is how you get an applicant, would be fees. But I don't know if it would be legal to associate fees with a waiver.
I think,
And maybe we could take those fees and put them in a labor training fund. I don't know if that's legal.
Or amend the recapture policy, that they have to pay back benefits,
see,
strengthen that a little.
just a little offsite, we did have some movement with the ECIDA, and they've been talking, I kind of stepped back and let them, because they're the lead agency of the county in a sense like this, and I don't even know what their policy is on this training right now, the ECIDA, because they're involved with the windmill project over here a lot. So they've been in conversation with GE, and they've got some more training coming in here, but one of the things that really struck me is that GE wants our people to travel to Albany to get specialized training put up for their project. So how does another company not come in and says, I want specialized training? You have to use our special people, pay for the courses to get that special people done. You know, how do we put that in an application and stuff like this to say, wait a minute, you need specialized training, and where is that specialized training and stuff? So that's kind of this whole dilemma that everybody's facing on there. And I don't, again, ECIDA, I don't know what their policy is on the training. I mean, I really don't see.
Well, I don't know if they have a labor policy.
Off the top of my head, I don't believe the ECIDA has a local.
And that's part, and they're big league agency. I mean, they're the one that's doing it for everybody in the county, and if you don't have your own IDA, they're setting the standards. So they need to come to the table and say, okay, what are we doing with these companies that are going outside? And Janet's got something to say too, but obviously.
Why are we pussyfooting around it? Why don't we just have language? The Hamburg Industrial Development Agency has a local labor policy for all projects. Will you be asking for a waiver? Ask them up front.
Okay. But they, you know,
Like, just,
Instead of anticipate, just ask them.
Right.
And then if they
Maybe,
come
like,
back-
cut to the chase.
and maybe from that, if you are anticipating, is there something
Because that's
we could do to
something,
get the training for our local people?
Yeah.
We're talking local labor within 9 counties, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's hard for me to believe, because I did call Bob and the director, Sean, about the whole windmill thing, because of course Ironworkers reached out to me and they filled me in on everything, but it's hard for me to believe that our people here in 9 counties of Western New York don't have the proper training to do this stuff. You know, I don't want to.
you and me both.
Yeah, so if you are, you're right. Hey, you're gonna do this, and then if you are, is there any way for us to get our people trained? to
Yeah,
do the
well,
job?
because you know what, if it's one of those projects where you're kind of like, well, I'm on the fence, there's not a lot of job development, there's not, you know, it's one of these ones that's teetering in your mind. If I know up front you're not gonna use local labor, that may sway my vote.
Mhm.
Right.
That may sway my vote. Hey, you're really not worried about Western New York. You're kind of worried about yourself and yourself only. So you know what? Move on. I mean, and I say this, gosh, I hate to use this analogy, about the volunteer fire service. Just because somebody comes to your door and volunteers doesn't mean you have to accept that volunteer, because they might be an arsonist. They may not be a good fit for your organization.
Kind of,
Every project that comes to the table might not fit into Hamburg or an area in Hamburg. You know, somebody who isn't willing to just support the community,
Yeah.
you know,
I think we put it bluntly, that's a smart way of saying it, Janet, I think
Yeah,
that,
just
but
put it
is
out
there a way to, in the language of the recapture, that we could say, let's say they say, no, we don't, no, we won't need a waiver for this project. And if it's a blatant no, well, it's subject to recapture if you came back for a waiver.
Sure.
Is there a way to do that? So let's say some corporation, big corporation comes in and says, no, we won't need, we got all local people in the 9 counties trained up, good to go. And then at the end, towards the beginning of project, trains are moving, everything's happening. It's, oh, by the way, we need a waiver.
I think
For
those folks
90%.
did a bait and switch.
Absolutely.
But we can't cry over spilled milk. We
I
gotta
know.
look forward and get the policies in place to make it,
I
Make
It's a
it
bait
happen.
and switch.
recommend updating the local labor policy to ask that question specifically. And then if they anticipate that maybe they would need specialized labor, make them provide information on training. Where training is available, how often training is available, so that you can get ahead of it.
yeah.
That's good.
Because we gotta have avenues for these corporations that it's not, I understand what you're saying, Jeff, but we need business. We're Western New York,
Well, we
okay?
do need business,
New York has lost, I think, 1 million residents in the last year.
but we're, you know, somebody who's coming and seeking our assistance. You know,
I just think we gotta be careful. I have a business owner that is a business in Depew, multi-million-dollar business. The state of Tennessee calls them up directly. We gotta be careful to pretend like we have something that we don't have.
Just another thought. We talked about writing letters, and even with the organization that I'm involved in, sometimes from the local level, we make changes that affect the regional level or the international level. If we have a labor policy in Erie County ECIDA does not, let's draft a letter to them and say, come on, get with the program. Because quite honestly, we're picking up the pieces because part of the windmills fall in Hamburg because they dropped the ball. And that's not the first time they dropped the ball over there, because I've been on picket lines out there when they've, personally, when they don't have non-union labor out there, it's not the first time the ECIDA has dropped the ball. And if we have to send them a letter,
Your other local IDAs also do not have local labor policies. Lancaster does not have one. Clarence is an incredibly weak policy, and off the top of my head, I don't believe Amherst has one.
so I would be interested in this is my idea, obviously everyone has a say, why not draft a letter to all of them? Say, maybe you guys should look at doing this.
Get ours established and then send a letter out that we established one.
When the joint meetings start again.
Yeah, okay.
Sean will be very popular at those meetings.
Oh, you're the one.
listen, and I'm not, a fan of a certain elected official who would like to see all of us dissolved.
Yes.
But the standards should be the standards. And listen, everybody wants a piece of the pie. Everybody wants action moving into their community, but there should be a standard. And we should be supporting the folks who are already here working, as well as trying to attract. So, Wes is you know what, maybe,
Constructed everything, and it's, it used all
Yeah.
local labor here, and he goes beyond, he gets, you know, the incentives here, and he uses it. This company comes in, and what really made me mad is they want him to go and do all the training, pay for the training up in Syracuse. In other words, they want to take the money for the people that get trained, go to Syracuse, or, I mean, Albany, connected here, get that training, pay that company the money for the training for here. And I know that we can compete with all that training, and that's the irritating part. Now, we don't have a labor standard throughout the county, that's something we'll have to address later, but I agree with Janet, I think maybe up front, this way if they do come back to say, look, you said no, and now the city say yes.
well, you know what, if the joint meetings are gonna start, maybe you, whoever is the chair of the meeting, Sean, draft a letter that you want on the agenda to discuss a local labor policy for all Erie County IDAs, Erie County, Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, whoever's at the table.
Yeah, it could be, I mean, I think it even more applies as a state initiative. What I would like to do is, at our August meeting, submit to the board draft language, revised local labor policy, and then we can look at the recapture policy.
And make sure
Either, either associate fees in the local labor waiver, or I think the only way that if you really want to add teeth to this is to hit them in the pocketbook, and then the board can further determine, I think it'd be a great idea if that goes in, job training sponsorship, like a separate, separate fund,
Absolutely.
to bolster that side. Because, businesses always, we have to be flexible and anticipate that things could change, supply chain issues and whatnot. But, and we have the waiver, and as long as we have the waiver, we run the risk of somebody seeking the waiver. So, if there's a fee associated with that,
Yeah.
would be it based upon it, job labor hours or some metric criteria, then that would enforce it, I think, more fully and get direct benefit back into the community.
Well, and if that particular elected official on the state level ever wants to sit down with you again, our advocacy is to remain an independent IDA for the town of Hamburg and its 2 villages. But if he wanted to do something, he could maybe draft legislation to even the playing field throughout the independent IDAs. So, I mean, you can work with them without working with, you know what I mean? Like, you can find common ground.
Yeah, like Wentz said, I think this is a good standard that could be applied, from in a blanket perspective.
Wentz, are you friends with him?
Are you talking about the one that starts with S?
Yeah.
It's a 4-letter, yeah.
Wow, that's my name.
Well, I mean, we're not,
No, I don't know. I don't know if you guys have regular
No,
meetings with
I
them,
think,
but you know what I
I
mean?
think
Like,
it's great that we
there's
can work
room
with
to
the state with
collaborate,
Yeah,
even
we
though
have,
you're on
positive
different sides.
legislation.
I mean, I'd be willing, if needed, to sit in on that. I mean, we do have a good relationship with him through the UAW and some of the stuff that we push on the labor side there.
Yeah.
He's always been helpful with us.
I think it's important that we have the language that we want already in our,
Yeah.
in our policy. Because I've found over the years that if you have the answer to the question, it makes that move a lot faster. And you get, you drive the, you drive it the way you want it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we button down in the next meeting or 2, our policies, and then we, suggest that they, look to apply these, as a new standard. So all we can do is suggest. Okay, thank you. I got a couple deliverables there, so that was productive. The other item is for the fall meeting. We had rescheduled the September meeting to an evening meeting. It's September 22nd, 4:30 to 8:30. We'll provide a meal. If anyone has any ideas on topics, this would, and as an example, this would more apply to the land corp side of the agencies. But one item that I would like to push as an initiative and a topic where we'll spend some time on. I don't want a lot of topics, but a couple topics we can really dive into. And I can prepare for before the meeting to present some information to the board. But it would be like key sites. So now is the Lake Erie Commerce Center, really drives towards full occupancy. There's still availability there, but that's off to a great path. So what other sites are there in town that we need to highlight? We've targeted that. We've had great success with that over the last few years. So now let's ratchet up the next sites that are languishing. And again, our focus, and it gets misconstrued in different meetings, but we need to look at IDA applicable projects. So, what parcels of land, could be mixed use sites or could be industrial sites. So, let's look at, and I have ones in my mind, but I would like to get the board organized in a similar fashion. What could be the most productive uses for the town and the villages?
I'll throw one out to you, the old concrete plant.
That's a potential there as well. So, but as a topic, what I want to do is take this home and work on it before the meeting. We need to establish the level of realities here. Is the owner willing to transact the land? Is the price reasonable? Is the zoning compatible with what we're looking to do? So there's a couple of things that I think we need to vet these sites, and I'm going to present that in September, and then we can talk about these sites. And then in the following meeting, we'll say,
It's almost like prioritizing your project.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, okay.
But, the ones that are most like, if there's no problem with site control, or if the owner doesn't want to sell the property and we want to put a plant there, then what can we do?
And you have to take into zoning is a huge consideration. Like Elmview, I don't think that's full, is it, Mayor?
Pretty much no.
Oh, is it with that new project?
New project that's
Okay.
going in.
But, when you look at what happened when the old Reefler site was purchased and they brought up you want projects that aren't gonna
Sure,
have huge,
What was the master plan review going on? It may be time to get
Yeah.
a property rezoned, and we don't have to have a heavy industrial use, but some sort of
Mhm.
light or.
yeah, largely our projects fall within an M2 compatibility, even more so than an M3. We could also look to work with these owners, and I was talking to Wendell about it last night. We could work to move these, if the town board would be agreeable to it, to a pre-permitted status. With you operating the land corporation, you made those investments as an agency. I would put the onus on the owner, if Bob, for instance, owns 15 acres, Bob, if you want to invest in X, Y, and Z, I'll help shepherd you through that process. This will allow you to get this site pre-permitted. And, we've seen how that is really moves the site up on the priority scale for site selectors and developers.
I have a question on the meeting.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Is this a formal open meeting to start?
It will be an open meeting.
Okay. Is
So
the
any
whole
meeting where we wouldn't
open?
have quorum, it will be an open meeting.
Yeah, but
we
is the
can go
whole
into
meeting
it.
open, or is it gonna go like into executive session so we can get into discussions on topics?
Can only go into executive sessions for topics that
Okay,
qualify
that's-
for executive.
Okay, so.
just because something's uncomfortable to talk about in public doesn't.
No,
have
no,
to
no,
make
no,
an
I know,
executive
I'm
session.
just, my point is, the point is we're making this at Ilios, right? The meeting's at Ilios.
Yeah.
Is it, how do you open it up to the public?
It has to be, it's a forum.
You have some extra chairs, but you see the
Come
big,
on in.
you
So
see the big
4 hour
crowd
the
you
whole 4-hour
have.
meeting is open to the public?
Yeah, you don't have
Yeah.
to feed them,
Okay,
you don't have
I
to water.
I just want a clear understanding of this
And so,
whole
for
thing.
example, Bob, in the framework that I'm talking about, we're not going to walk out of that meeting with 5 sites. That's not my anticipation. My anticipation is to get the board to agree on a set metric, so I'll be able to benchmark these sites and say, this is a green one, this is ready to go, this is yellow, this is red, we're not going to touch it. and then we can take that back. It doesn't necessarily, when you get involved with a real estate transaction, that's a matter for executive session. So
Right, because you're actually negotiating something.
Right, I understand, I'm just making sure that we're all
Okay.
clear, this is an open meeting, there is some food and beverages being provided to the board, but not to the public, right?
Correct.
Okay, so everybody on, we're live here on
Yeah.
film. I
It's
just
not
wanna
a
make
free
sure-
meal.
It's not a free meal, it's
Right.
just an open meeting, that we got a 4-hour session, that we're going over
Yeah.
a lot of topics and deeper.
I will say the last one we
What's
had, what I think we had it in the village there, was very productive before
Yeah.
COVID. And I think,
It wasn't per se open, right?
It was.
yeah, I think it was open.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
showed up, but it
Okay.
was
In
open.
fact, somebody did by accident.
Well, Sean, I'm gonna give you my list now.
Now that I remember,
Ravenwood
yeah.
North,
Okay,
which still isn't fully developed,
okay,
and Lake Avenue, basically that whole stretch from the South Buffalo Railroad, Dakota Road, where Bethlehem is,
Mhm.
there's a lot of room back there for,
I think this would be a big push though for redevelopment, just based on some of the
Yeah.
conversations we've been hearing from people like those.
Sure, any
That won't be
underutilized
that.
sites, we're
I'm out
working
of
one with
town.
our own lane. So even beyond that, so beyond real estate sites,
What about
Any-
exit 57
Huh?
there? You talked about that.
potentially, yeah, but again, like you have to be, we would add it to the list, but we have to see where that developer is at. What, Benderson may be seeking more of a retail use over there. So, we're gonna put it on the list and we're gonna I'll sit down with Benderson and get these questions answered. If they're going for straight retail, it's not really an IDA initiative, so it can be an overall economic development initiative for town, sure. And it's a very, visible site. But in terms of an IDA and us trying to get developed industrial or, projects that are compatible with our agency, it would lose some ground.
You get that whole golf course too on
Yeah.
Southwestern.
So, and then beyond, don't get focused on that today, but like other general topics, be it policy, be it organizational operation and effectiveness. So any other type of agenda items that you would see or think about in the next month or two, provide them to me or Mary or I. And, because I would like to be able to, we only have 4 hours, it goes very quick. So I would like to have some pre-developed materials to kind of guide the conversation for the morning. So, it's a productive meeting. So anything further in that realm, idea realm or land court realm, keep us in mind. If there's a site that you think the land court should get involved with, that might be more so for executive session, but we could discuss matters like that. Okay, privilege of the floor.
Need a motion to change the meeting date.
Oh, do we, yeah, can I please have a motion to change that meeting date to September 22nd?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Privilege of the floor. We've received no further communication regarding the E1 public hearing. The hearing is since closed. The last date was July 27th to receive any information. So the next item is a resolution for Billy Lee LLC. I just want to highlight a couple of things for those that weren't at the public hearing for the board, and then I can go through the resolution, open it up for questions. But essentially, what is going on here, and Steve Savage is here representing Billy Lee. If any of the board, or anybody in public has questions, they have reapplied. The changes in the reapplication are no changes to the property tax incentive. The mortgage tax incentive has been foregone. So that was incentive of $4,500 that the company is not going to take upon the IDA, but the sales tax has changed. The sales tax has changed from $39,375 due to overages and costs. They're looking for an increase in sales tax exemption to $59,286. This is a net change of $14,411, an increase in benefits. The employment The new job creation, it is to remain the same. The salary of production, the positions, $50,000 plus fringe, that is to remain the same. And we are looking to close this project in December of 2020. 21, thank you. Yeah, I'm already starting to put together stuff for 22. It's crazy. So next I have so with that, I have a resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency authorizing Billy Lee LLC to expand their business located at 4760 Camp Road in the Town of Hamburg. The combined cost not to exceed $1,505,120. The lessee is authorized to make purchases of goods and services relating to the project that would otherwise be subject to New York State and local sales tax and use tax in an amount up to $677,560. That's the spend, which may result in a New York State local and sales and use tax exemption benefits not to exceed $59,286. The provisions of this resolution shall continue to be effective until December 17th, 2021. And this resolution shall take effect immediately if adopted. On to questions.
I just one. On that language we got in section 6 there, okay, he can still come back to us, if I'm correct, if the project has some overruns on the sales tax. So we set the not to exceed of 59,000, whatever the change goes with it. So if things, because of price and material increase or something like this, can he still come back to us and ask the board for an increase in that?
Any applicant could.
Okay, so he's all good on that part of it, right? And, okay, because that's with the way material is fluctuating now, and price of lumber going up and everything else. Okay, I just want to make sure that it was clear.
Okay.
It was clear to me, but I just want to make sure it's okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Any other questions? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you.
Well, I see my second.
Thank you. And I will do a roll call vote for this, please. Cam Hall.
Aye.
Bob Hutchison.
Aye.
Seconded. Janet.
Aye.
Motioned it. Mayor Moses.
Aye.
Chair Palmer.
Aye.
David Spakowski.
Aye.
Bob Reynolds.
Excellent project.
And Wentz Valentine.
Support.
Motion carried. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate working with you. Thanks for coming back to us.
Thanks for your investment in our
Thank
community.
you.
Really appreciate everything. And thanks for sitting through the meeting and learning. Hey, want to join the board?
We should have asked him that before the vote.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is Bedlam. This is a second extension request. This is a resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency extending the inducement period and sales tax period for 2019 Bedlam Associates LLC project until October 18th, 2021. The resolution has been adopted on December 17th, 2020, which induced Bedlam, and they have received an extension to April 18th. They now need to extend due to a communication with the project operator due to supply chain issues, looking to extend and waive the extension fee, extend the extension period until it was extended to April 18th, 2021. They're looking to extend until October 18th, 2021. So this is a request to extend it from April to October of this year and waive the extension fee. How much was the extension? The extension fee is 1/4% of the project cost. We had previously, and this is another topic, but we had previously established a waiver due to COVID for the projects that have run into this. So it would be 1/4% of the project cost. Do you have your whole file here in Bedlam? I want to say it was like this. $800,000 project.
600 or 800 was.
So it would roughly be, $15,000 to extend, a savings to the project. So, and this would be the second extension. We, just as a comparatively, we have extended 290 Lake. They received their second extension. We did grant it, but we did change the language to say that this would be the final extension under that COVID policy.
Same with this one, right? When
We can add that.
Yeah,
I
we should add that.
would think it would make sense to add that one.
Yes, that was part of
So,
my,
and then we do communicate, I certainly communicate that back to the project
this
office.
is the final extension. Motion to approve.
Okay, so motion to approve with the modification that I'll add number 3 after this resolution shall take effect immediately. It will be the last extension under the COVID waiver.
Right.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Andy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, any call for executive session? Then can I have a motion to adjourn the Hamburg IDA meeting at 8:21?
So moved.
Thank you, Wenz. Thank you, Janet. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. Our next meeting is August 18th, 7:30 a.m. at Blaisdell Hall. All right, thanks, everyone. I will shift my info. Hamburg, New York Land Development Corporation Board of Directors meeting. January 28th, 2021, roll call.
Recording, do you want to say that?
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
You always catch that. Yeah, I don't want to be on TV more than that.
You will be on TV, you just
You're
won't.
a movie star.